The grand concert hall of New Sydney gleamed under the artificial lighting, its marble floors reflecting the elegant chandeliers that hung like frozen stars above. Master conductor Elena Vasquez adjusted her formal jacket as she walked through the empty auditorium, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Tomorrow night, she would perform Beethoven's Emperor Concerto for an audience of diplomats, including representatives from 3 different alien species who had recently made contact with humanity. The weight of the performance pressed on her shoulders. This wasn't just another concert. The Zephyrian delegation had specifically requested to witness human musical expression, claiming their own species had never developed what they called organized sound patterns for emotional manipulation. The Crystalline Collective had sent observers to study human neural responses to acoustic vibrations. Even the enigmatic Voidwalkers had emerged from their dimension-hopping ships to attend, though nobody quite understood why. Elena paused at the edge of the stage, looking out at the 2,000 empty seats that would soon hold beings from across the galaxy. The pressure was immense. How do you represent the entirety of human musical achievement in a single performance? How do you show aliens what music means to humanity? "Excuse me, ma'am," a voice called from behind her. Elena turned to see a woman in a maintenance uniform pushing a cleaning cart. She appeared to be in her 60s, with graying hair pulled back in a neat bun and kind eyes that sparkled with intelligence. Her name tag read, Sarah Collins. "Oh, I'm sorry," Elena said, stepping aside. "I didn't mean to get in your way. I know you probably need to prepare the hall for tomorrow." Sarah smiled warmly as she began polishing the already pristine piano. "No trouble at all, Miss Vasquez. I recognize you from the posters. Big day tomorrow, isn't it? Playing for those alien folks." Elena nodded, surprised by the woman's casual tone. Most people either treated her with reverent awe or nervous formality. "Yes, it's quite an honor, and quite terrifying if I'm being honest." "Terrifying? A talented lady like you?" Sarah chuckled, running her cloth along the piano's elegant curves. "I bet you've been playing since you were knee-high to a grasshopper." "Since I was 4, Elena confirmed. "My mother was a pianist, too. Not professional, but she taught me the basics." She found herself relaxing in Sarah's presence. There was something comforting about the woman's easy manner. 4 years old? My goodness! Sarah shook her head in amazement. "I always wanted to learn, but growing up where I did, piano lessons weren't exactly in the budget. Had to work to help support my family instead." Elena felt a pang of sympathy. She had been incredibly fortunate to have access to quality instruction from such a young age. "It's never too late to learn," she offered. "Music is one of those things that transcends age." Sarah laughed, a rich, warm sound that filled the concert hall. "Oh, honey, these old fingers aren't built for fancy piano playing. I can barely manage to dust this beautiful instrument without worrying I'll break something important." An impish thought crossed Elena's mind. Perhaps it was the stress of tomorrow's performance, or maybe it was Sarah's infectious warmth, but she found herself grinning. "You know, I bet you could play something. Music isn't about perfect technique. It's about feeling." "Me? Play this magnificent piano?" Sarah's eyes widened with a mixture of horror and amusement. "Child, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'd probably make sounds that would scare those alien visitors right back to their spaceships." Elena giggled at the mental image. "Come on, just one note. What's the worst that could happen?" "The piano won't explode." Sarah set down her cleaning cloth and looked at the piano bench as if it might bite her. "You're serious, aren't you? You really want me to sit at this fancy piano that probably costs more than my house?" "Absolutely serious," Elena said, her stress melting away as she got caught up in the moment. "In fact, I dare you. Just sit down and press middle C right there." She pointed to the key. "A dare, is it?" Sarah's eyes twinkled with mischief. "Well, I never could resist a good dare. My grandmother always said it would get me in trouble someday." With exaggerated care, Sarah approached the piano bench as if she were approaching a sleeping dragon. She sat down slowly, her back straight, and looked at the vast array of black and white keys spread before her. "This middle C you mentioned?" she asked, holding her index finger poised above the keyboard. "Right there," Elena pointed again, barely containing her laughter. Sarah pressed the key with the careful precision of someone defusing a bomb. The single, pure note rang out through the concert hall, clear and beautiful. "There!" Sarah declared triumphantly. "I played piano! Mark this date in history!" Elena applauded enthusiastically. "Bravo! See? You're a natural!" But as the note faded, Sarah's expression changed. Her fingers, which had been hovering uncertainly above the keys, suddenly settled into position with surprising confidence. Her posture shifted subtly, her hands finding a natural curve that Elena recognized from years of training. "Actually," Sarah said quietly, her voice taking on a different quality, "since we've already broken the ice—" Before Elena could respond, Sarah's hands began to move across the keys. But this wasn't the fumbling of a beginner. Her fingers danced across the keyboard with fluid precision, and the opening notes of Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major filled the concert hall. Elena's jaw dropped. This wasn't just competent playing. This was masterful, professional-level performance. Sarah's technique was flawless, her interpretation nuanced and deeply emotional. The music soared through the empty auditorium with a beauty that made Elena's chest tighten. As the piece continued, Elena noticed details that spoke of serious training. Sarah's pedaling was perfect, her phrasing sophisticated, her touch varying from whisper-soft to boldly declarative. This was the playing of someone who had spent decades perfecting their craft. When the final notes faded into silence, Sarah lifted her hands from the keys and turned to Elena with a gentle smile. "I may have fibbed a little about not knowing how to play." Elena stood frozen, her mind racing. "A little? Sarah, that was incredible. Where did you learn to play like that?" Sarah's smile was tinged with sadness. "Juilliard, class of '82, full scholarship. I was going to be the next great concert pianist." She ran her fingers gently over the keys. "But life had other plans." "What happened?" Elena whispered. "My mother got sick, cancer. I had to come home to take care of her and my younger siblings. By the time she passed and my brother and sister were grown, I was too old to restart a classical career." The window had closed. Sarah's voice held no bitterness, only acceptance. "So I found other work. Raised my own family, made peace with it." Elena felt tears prick at her eyes. "But you never stopped playing?" "Oh, I stopped for a long time. It hurt too much. But eventually, I found ways to sneak in some practice. Late nights in piano stores, empty churches, retirement homes that would let me volunteer and play for the residents. Music finds a way, doesn't it?" The silence that followed was filled with unspoken understanding. Two musicians, separated by circumstances, but united by their love for the same art form. "Sarah," Elena said slowly, an idea forming in her mind. "Tomorrow's concert. Would you be willing to perform with me?" Sarah's eyes widened. "Perform? Oh, honey, I'm a cleaning lady now. I don't have the clothes, the reputation, You have the talent," Elena interrupted firmly. "And that's all that matters. These alien delegates want to understand human music. What better way to show them than to demonstrate that music lives in all of us regardless of our circumstances?" Sarah looked down at her uniform, then back at Elena. "You're serious, aren't you? You want me to perform in front of alien ambassadors?" "I'm absolutely serious. We could do a duet. 4 hands, 1 piano. I know you must know some pieces for 4 hands." I do. Mozart's Sonata in D major, Brahms' Hungarian dances." Sarah's voice trailed off as she considered the possibility. Elena could see the war playing out on Sarah's face. Excitement battling with fear, hope wrestling with practicality. "Think about it," Elena said gently. "Sleep on it. But Sarah, if you say yes, tomorrow won't just be about showing aliens what human music can do. It'll be about showing them what humans can do." As if summoned by their conversation, the sound of footsteps echoed from the back of the auditorium. Elena turned to see Dr. Marcus Webb, the cultural attaché assigned to the alien delegation, approaching with his usual brisk pace. "Elena, there you are," he called. "I've been looking everywhere for you. We need to discuss tomorrow's program. The Zephyrians have some specific requests about—" Dr. Webb stopped mid-sentence as he noticed Sarah sitting at the piano. His expression shifted to one of mild annoyance. "I'm sorry, but civilians aren't supposed to be in the performance area. Security protocols for tomorrow's event are quite strict." Elena felt a surge of protectiveness. "Dr. Webb, this is Sarah Collins. She's part of the maintenance staff, and she was just helping me with some last-minute preparations." Sarah rose from the piano bench quickly, smoothing down her uniform. "No trouble at all, sir. I was just finishing up my cleaning duties." But Dr. Webb wasn't paying attention to their explanations. His gaze had fixed on the piano, and his expression was puzzled. "That's odd," he murmured, approaching the instrument. "The acoustic sensors in the hall have been recording sound levels all evening for tomorrow's calibrations. According to the readouts, there was just a significant musical performance in here." He looked between Elena and Sarah with confusion. "But I was told you were just doing a sound check. Elena." Elena and Sarah exchanged glances. The moment hung in the air like a suspended note, full of potential and uncertainty. "Actually, Dr. Webb," Elena said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "I think we need to have a conversation about tomorrow's program. There might be a change you'll find very interesting." Dr. Webb's eyebrows shot up so high they nearly disappeared into his receding hairline. "A change? Elena, you can't be serious. The program has been approved by 3 different alien diplomatic councils. The Crystalline Collective has been analyzing the harmonic frequencies of Beethoven for weeks. The Zephyrians have been practicing what they call appreciation postures, specifically for the Emperor Concerto." Elena took a deep breath. She knew how this would sound, but she also knew what she had just witnessed. "Dr. Webb, what if I told you that we have an opportunity to show our alien visitors something even more remarkable about humanity than technical perfection? I would say that tomorrow night is not the time for experimentation," Dr. Webb replied firmly. "Do you have any idea what's riding on this performance? The Zephyrians are considering sharing their atmospheric processing technology with us. The Crystalline Collective has hinted at quantum computing advances that could revolutionize our understanding of physics. And the Void Walkers—" He shuddered slightly. "Nobody wants to disappoint the Void Walkers." Sarah had been quietly gathering her cleaning supplies, clearly uncomfortable with the tension in the air. "You know what? I should probably get going. Leave you two to your important business." "Wait," Elena said quickly. "Dr. Webb, before you make any final decisions, I think you should hear something." Dr. Webb checked his chronometer impatiently. "Elena, I really don't have time for—" "5 minutes," Elena interrupted. "Give me 5 minutes and then you can decide whether what I'm proposing is worth considering." Sarah shot Elena a warning look. "Honey, I don't think—" "Please," Elena said, looking directly at Sarah. "Trust me." After a moment's hesitation, Sarah nodded slowly. She returned to the piano bench, her movements more confident now that her secret was out. Dr. Webb watched with growing confusion as the cleaning lady sat down at the concert grand with the posture of a seasoned professional. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered. "What's going on here?" Instead of answering, Sarah placed her hands on the keys and began to play. This time, she chose Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C-sharp minor, a piece that demanded not only technical skill but deep emotional understanding. The haunting melody filled the concert hall, each note precise and powerful. Dr. Webb's mouth fell open. As someone who coordinated cultural exchanges between humans and alien species, he had developed a keen ear for musical quality. This wasn't just good playing. This was extraordinary playing, professional concert-level playing, from a woman in a maintenance uniform. When Sarah finished, the silence stretched for several long seconds. Dr. Webb stood frozen, his mind clearly struggling to process what he had just heard. "I don't understand," he finally said. "Who are you, really?" Sarah smiled sadly. "I'm exactly who I said I am. Sarah Collins, member of the maintenance staff. I've been cleaning this building for 8 years, but I'm also a Juilliard graduate who never got the chance to pursue the career she trained for." Dr. Webb turned to Elena. "And your proposal is?" "A duet," Elena said simply. "4 hands, 1 piano. We perform together, showing our alien guests that human musical ability isn't limited to those of us who were lucky enough to have the right opportunities at the right time." "Absolutely not," Dr. Webb said immediately. "The liability alone. We can't have unauthorized personnel in front of diplomatic representatives. The security clearance requirements, the background checks." "I've been working in this building for 8 years," Sarah pointed out mildly. "I think my background has been pretty thoroughly checked by now." Dr. Webb began pacing, his hands clasped behind his back. "Even if that weren't an issue, which it is, we can't just change the program. The aliens have been prepared for a specific performance. They've been briefed on Beethoven, on the historical context, on the cultural significance." "Dr. Webb," Elena said carefully, "what exactly did you tell them about the purpose of this concert?" He stopped pacing and looked at her as if the answer should be obvious. "To demonstrate the pinnacle of human musical achievement, of course. To show them what our species is capable of when we dedicate ourselves to artistic excellence." "And you think that a single performer, no matter how skilled, represents the pinnacle of human achievement?" Elena asked. "Or would it be more impressive to show them that musical genius can emerge from anywhere in human society? That our janitors and cleaning staff might be hiding talents that rival our greatest concert artists?" Dr. Webb opened his mouth to respond, then closed it again. Elena could see the wheels turning in his head. "The Zephyrians," he said slowly, "have been particularly interested in what they call social stratification patterns in human creativity. They wanted to know if artistic ability was limited to what they termed the privileged caste." "And what did you tell them?" Elena asked. "I told them that human talent could emerge from any background, but that practical limitations often prevent full development." Dr. Webb trailed off as the implications hit him. Sarah laughed softly. "Sounds like tomorrow might be the perfect time to prove that point." Dr. Webb resumed his pacing, but Elena could tell his objections were weakening. "Even if I were inclined to consider this, which I'm not saying I am, the logistics would be nightmarish. We'd need to revise all the program notes, brief the translators on the change, recalibrate the acoustic systems for 2 performers instead of 1. Or," Elena suggested, "we could keep it simple. I perform the Beethoven as planned. Then, as an encore, Sarah and I perform something together. A demonstration of human musical collaboration and the universality of artistic talent." "An encore wasn't part of the program," Dr. Webb protested. "Encores rarely are," Elena pointed out. "They're spontaneous expressions of appreciation. What could be more human than that?" Sarah had been listening to their exchange with growing amazement. "You're actually serious about this, aren't you? Both of you are actually considering putting a cleaning lady on stage in front of alien diplomats." "Not a cleaning lady," Elena corrected. "A musician who happens to work as a cleaning lady. There's a difference." Dr. Webb stopped pacing and fixed Sarah with an intense stare. Can you handle the pressure? Performing in front of beings from other worlds, with the weight of human-alien relations potentially resting on your performance? Sarah met his gaze steadily. Dr. Webb, I've spent 30 years watching opportunities pass me by because I was afraid to take risks. I've cleaned this concert hall hundreds of times, listening to rehearsals and performances, dreaming about what it would feel like to sit at that piano in front of an audience just once. She paused, her voice growing stronger. If I can handle 30 years of regret, I think I can handle one night of aliens. Before Dr. Webb could respond, a new voice echoed through the concert hall. Dr. Webb, are you in there? All three of them turned to see a figure approaching from the back of the auditorium. As it drew closer, Elena gasped. It wasn't human. The being was tall and slender, with translucent skin that seemed to shimmer with its own internal light. Its movements were fluid, almost dance-like, and its large, multifaceted eyes reflected the concert hall's lighting like cut gems. This was a crystalline collective representative, though Elena had never seen one this close before. Ambassador Resonance, Dr. Webb said, his voice tight with surprise. I wasn't expecting you until tomorrow evening. The alien's voice was melodious, with harmonics that seemed to come from multiple sources at once. Forgive the intrusion, Dr. Webb. I arrived early and was drawn by the acoustic emanations from this structure. Our sensors detected musical vibrations of unusual complexity and emotional resonance. Elena felt her heart skip. The alien had heard Sarah's performance. Ambassador Resonance moved closer, its gaze shifting between the three humans. Was this a rehearsal for tomorrow's demonstration? The harmonic patterns were significantly different from the Beethoven compositions we were briefed to expect. Dr. Webb looked like he was about to have a panic attack. No, Ambassador, it was a demonstration, Elena said suddenly, stepping forward. A demonstration of the diversity of human musical expression. Sarah shot her a warning look, but Elena continued. Ambassador Resonance, may I ask what your sensors detected about the performance you heard? The alien's crystalline features shifted in what might have been curiosity. The technical proficiency was exceptional, comparable to your finest recorded performances. But more intriguing were the emotional harmonics. Our analysis detected complex layers of what you humans call feeling, joy, sorrow, hope, loss, all woven together in patterns that our neural networks are still attempting to decode. And did your sensors detect anything about the performer? Elena asked, her heart pounding. Indeed. The biometric readings suggested an individual under significant psychological stress, yet channeling that stress into artistic expression of remarkable beauty. We found this contradiction fascinating. In crystalline society, stress typically inhibits creative output. Elena smiled. Ambassador Resonance, would you like to meet the performer? Dr. Webb made a strangled sound, but Elena ignored him. She gestured towards Sarah, who was standing frozen beside the piano. This is Sarah Collins, Elena said. She performed the piece your sensors analyzed. Ambassador Resonance's multifaceted eyes focused on Sarah with new intensity. Greetings, Performer Collins. Your acoustic creation generated significant interest among our analytical systems. Sarah, to her credit, managed to find her voice. Thank you, Ambassador. It's an honor to meet you. May I inquire about your training and social position? Our briefing suggested that advanced musical education among humans was limited to specific demographic segments. Dr. Webb stepped forward quickly. Ambassador, Ms. Collins is actually a member of our maintenance staff. She was just helping with some acoustic tests. But Ambassador Resonance seemed even more intrigued. A maintenance worker with advanced musical capabilities? This is precisely the type of social anomaly our researchers hope to document. In crystalline society, individuals are assigned roles based on tested aptitudes from early development. The concept of hidden or unused talents is unknown to us. Sarah found herself speaking directly to the alien. I was trained as a classical pianist, Ambassador, but circumstances led me to other work. Music remained a private passion. Fascinating, Ambassador Resonance said, its voice taking on harmonic overtones that suggested excitement. A case study in human adaptability and hidden potential. Dr. Webb, will this individual be participating in tomorrow's demonstration? Dr. Webb looked like he was caught between a rock and a hard place. Well, Ambassador, that wasn't originally planned. But it could be arranged, Elena interjected smoothly. If there's interest from the diplomatic community in seeing a broader representation of human musical talent. Ambassador Resonance's crystalline features seemed to pulse with inner light. The Crystalline Collective would find such a demonstration highly valuable. Our understanding of human society would be significantly enhanced by observing talent expression across your social strata. Before Dr. Webb could object, another voice called from the back of the hall. This time it was unmistakably human. Dr. Webb, we've been looking for you everywhere. There's been a development with the Zephyrian delegation. Elena turned to see Dr. Webb's assistant, Jennifer Martinez, hurrying down the aisle. Behind her walked a figure that made Elena's breath catch. It was a Zephyrian, the first she had ever seen in person. The alien stood about 7 feet tall with flowing robes that seemed to move independently of any air current. Its face was humanoid but elongated, with large, expressive eyes that held an ancient intelligence. Most striking were the delicate, wing-like appendages that extended from its shoulders, constantly shifting in subtle patterns. Dr. Webb, Jennifer said breathlessly, Ambassador Skyweaver insisted on coming to the concert hall. They said they detected unusual acoustic patterns and wanted to investigate. Ambassador Skyweaver's voice was like wind through crystal chimes. Greetings, Dr. Webb. Forgive our early arrival, but the musical emanations from this location were unexpected. Our acoustic analysis suggests performances of exceptional emotional depth. Elena realized that both alien species had been drawn to Sarah's playing. The universe seemed to be conspiring to make her impulsive suggestion a reality. Dr. Webb looked between the two aliens, clearly overwhelmed. Ambassadors, I assure you, tomorrow's program will meet all your expectations. Dr. Webb, Ambassador Skyweaver interrupted gently, may we inquire about the performer responsible for the acoustic anomaly? Our cultural specialists would be most interested in meeting this individual. Elena stepped forward again. Ambassadors, the performer you're asking about is here with us now. She gestured to Sarah. This is Sarah Collins, and she would be honored to speak with you. Sarah looked terrified but managed to nod respectfully to both aliens. Ambassador Resonance's eyes shifted to Ambassador Skyweaver. We were just learning about performer Collins' unique social position. She possesses advanced musical training but works in facility maintenance. Ambassador Skyweaver's wing appendages rippled with what Elena interpreted as surprise. A hidden talent? This is most unusual. In Zephyrian society, all individuals with artistic aptitude are identified and cultivated from youth. The concept of undiscovered ability is intriguing. Not undiscovered, Sarah said quietly, finding her courage. Just redirected. Life sometimes takes us down different paths than we originally planned. Both aliens seemed to lean forward with interest at this statement. You chose a different path? Ambassador Skyweaver asked. Deliberately? I chose to care for my family, Sarah explained. Sometimes we sacrifice our dreams for something more important. The two aliens exchanged what Elena could only describe as a meaningful look, though she had no idea how to interpret alien facial expressions. Dr. Webb, Ambassador Resonance said formally, The Crystalline Collective would consider it a significant honor if performer Collins could participate in tomorrow's cultural demonstration. Her unique perspective would greatly enhance our understanding of human social dynamics. Ambassador Skyweaver's wing appendages fluttered in agreement. The Zephyrian delegation concurs. We came here to learn about human creativity and its social context. This opportunity would be invaluable. Dr. Webb stood in the middle of the concert hall, surrounded by two alien ambassadors who had just requested that a cleaning lady perform in one of the most important cultural events in human history. Elena could practically see him calculating the political implications. Finally, he turned to Sarah. Ms. Collins, the question isn't whether you're qualified to perform. Based on what I've heard tonight, you clearly are. The question is whether you're prepared for what this could mean. Tomorrow's concert will be broadcast to every human settlement in the galaxy. Your performance could be seen by billions of people. Sarah was quiet for a long moment, looking down at her hands. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady. Dr. Webb, I've spent 30 years being invisible. Tomorrow night, I'd like the chance to be seen. Elena felt tears prick at her eyes. The determination in Sarah's voice reminded her of why she had fallen in love with music in the first place. Ambassador Skyweaver's wing appendages began moving in rapid, complex patterns. This decision demonstrates the human concepts we have heard described but never witnessed: courage, sacrifice, and the pursuit of dreams despite obstacles. The Zephyrian High Council will be most interested in this development. Ambassador Resonance's crystalline form pulsed with approval. The Crystalline Collective agrees. This performance will serve as a powerful example of human adaptability and hidden potential. Dr. Webb rubbed his temples as if fighting off a headache. Very well, but we'll need to completely restructure the security protocols, revise all the diplomatic briefings, and somehow find formal concert attire in the next 18 hours. Elena grinned. About the concert attire, I might have some ideas. As the group began discussing the practical details of tomorrow's modified program, Elena caught Sarah's eye and smiled. What had started as a simple joke between two musicians was about to become something much more significant. Tomorrow night, the galaxy would see that human greatness could emerge from the most unexpected places. The day of the concert arrived with a flurry of activity that made the previous evening's drama seem calm by comparison. Elena arrived at the concert hall early to find the building buzzing with technicians, security personnel, and diplomatic staff all frantically preparing for the evening's performance. Dr. Webb met her at the artist's entrance, looking as if he hadn't slept in weeks. Dark circles ringed his eyes, and his usually immaculate hair was disheveled. Elena, thank goodness you're here. We've had developments. What kind of developments? Elena asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. The Void Walkers sent a message this morning, Dr. Webb said, leading her through corridors filled with alien technology and human security equipment. They're bringing additional observers. Apparently, word of our program change has spread through the diplomatic community. Elena felt her stomach tighten. How many additional observers? 17 different species, Dr. Webb said grimly. The concert that was supposed to introduce 3 alien cultures to human music has turned into the largest interspecies cultural gathering in recorded history. They reached the backstage area, where Elena found Sarah sitting in front of a mirror, staring at her reflection with a mixture of wonder and terror. The transformation was remarkable. Elena's idea about concert attire had worked perfectly. Sarah wore an elegant black gown that Elena had borrowed from the symphony's costume department. Her graying hair had been styled in an elegant updo, and professional stage makeup had been applied by the theater's artistic team. You look absolutely stunning, Elena said warmly. Sarah turned, and Elena was struck by how the formal attire seemed to have changed more than just Sarah's appearance. There was a dignity in her posture, a confidence that spoke of the professional musician she had once been and was about to be again. "I can't believe this is really happening," Sarah said quietly. "Yesterday, I was mopping floors. Tonight, I'm performing for beings from other worlds." "How are you feeling?" Elena asked, settling into the chair beside her. "Terrified," Sarah admitted with a laugh, "but also alive. I haven't felt this alive in decades. Whatever happens tonight, I'll always have the memory of this moment." Elena reached over and squeezed Sarah's hand. "We're going to create something beautiful together. I can feel it." Dr. Webb cleared his throat. "Ladies, I hate to interrupt, but we need to discuss the final program details. The alien delegations have requested specific information about the pieces you'll be performing." Elena nodded. "The Beethoven Emperor Concerto as originally planned for my solo portion. For the duet, Sarah and I have decided on Mozart's Sonata in D major for 4 hands and Brahms's Hungarian Dance No. 1. "Excellent choices," Dr. Webb said, making notes on his tablet. "The translation teams have prepared cultural context briefings for both pieces. The aliens seem particularly interested in the collaborative nature of 4-hand piano performance. Apparently, several species have never encountered the concept of multiple individuals creating art simultaneously." A soft chime sounded through the backstage area, followed by an announcement. "30 minutes to curtain. All performers and diplomatic staff to positions." Elena felt the familiar pre-performance flutter in her stomach, but it was different tonight. Usually, the nervousness was focused on her own playing, her own interpretation, her own connection with the audience. Tonight, she was equally concerned about Sarah's experience. She wanted this to be everything her new friend deserved. "Sarah," Elena said suddenly, "before we go out there, I want you to know something. What happens tonight isn't just about showing the aliens what humans can do. It's about showing you what you can do. You've carried this music inside you for 30 years. Tonight, you get to let it out." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them away carefully to preserve her makeup. "Thank you for believing in me, for giving me this chance." "Thank you for being brave enough to take it." Another chime sounded. 15 minutes to curtain. Dr. Webb appeared at their side, looking more nervous than either of the performers. "The auditorium is full, not just with alien delegations, but with human dignitaries, scientists, artists, and media representatives from across the system. The live broadcast is being transmitted to every human settlement, and several alien homeworlds are receiving the signal as well." Elena took a deep breath. No pressure at all. "Oh, and there's one more thing," Dr. Webb added. "The Voidwalkers have made a specific request. They want to meet both performers after the concert. Apparently, they've never encountered what they call temporal artistic evolution, the idea that an individual's creative expression can change and develop over decades of life experience." Sarah laughed, though it had a slightly hysterical edge. "Aliens want to study my life choices. This day just keeps getting more surreal." The final chime echoed through the building. "Ladies and gentlemen, places for the opening ceremony." Elena and Sarah made their way to the wings of the stage, where they could see the auditorium for the first time. The sight was breathtaking and intimidating in equal measure. The 2,000 seats were completely filled, but the audience was unlike anything Elena had ever imagined. Humans in formal attire sat beside beings that defied easy description. The crystalline collective representatives caught and reflected the stage lights like living prisms. Zephyrian ambassadors filled an entire section, their wing appendages creating subtle, mesmerizing patterns of movement. In the back of the hall, areas of space seemed to shimmer and bend where the Voidwalkers had positioned themselves. But there were others, too. Tall, graceful beings with feathered crests that Elena didn't recognize. small round creatures that seemed to pulse with bioluminescent patterns, entities that appeared to be made of flowing liquid metal. The concert hall had been transformed into a gathering place for minds from across the galaxy. Dr. Webb took the stage to thunderous applause, though Elena noticed that different species expressed appreciation in various ways. Some clapped, others created harmonic tones, and the Voidwalkers section shimmered more intensely. "Distinguished beings from worlds near and far," Dr. Webb began, his voice carried by advanced translation technology that would make his words comprehensible to every species present. "Tonight, we gather not just to share human music, but to celebrate the universal language of creativity that connects all intelligent life." Elena felt Sarah tense beside her as Dr. Webb continued his introduction. "Our program tonight features not one, but two remarkable human artists. Elena Vasquez, our principal performer, represents the pinnacle of formal musical training and professional achievement. But we are equally honored to present Sarah Collins, whose journey embodies the resilience of human creativity and the power of passion to transcend circumstances." The applause that followed seemed to vibrate through the building itself. Elena could see aliens leaning forward in their seats, their attention focused with an intensity that was both thrilling and daunting. "Ladies first," Dr. Webb announced, and Elena felt Sarah squeeze her hand before she walked out onto the stage. The lights were brighter than Elena had expected, and the silence more complete. 2,000 beings from dozens of worlds sat in absolute quiet as she approached the piano. She had performed for heads of state, for royalty, for crowds of thousands, but never had she felt the weight of representation so keenly. Elena sat at the piano bench and placed her hands on the keys. For a moment, she simply sat there, feeling the connection between herself and the instrument, between the instrument and the auditorium, between the auditorium and the vast community of minds gathered to listen. Then she began to play Beethoven's Emperor Concerto, and the music transported them all. Elena had never played better. Every note was precise, every phrase perfectly shaped, every emotional moment crafted with the skill of a lifetime's dedication. But more than technical perfection, her performance carried something deeper, a sense of joy, of gratitude, of connection to something larger than herself. As she played, Elena was aware of the alien audience in a way she had never experienced with human audiences. She could sense their attention like a physical presence, their minds working to decode not just the sounds, but the emotions behind them. The crystalline collective representatives seemed to be resonating with the harmonic frequencies. The Zephyrian's wing appendages moved in patterns that suggested deep engagement. Even the mysterious Voidwalkers section pulsed with new rhythms. When the final notes of the concerto faded into silence, the response was overwhelming. The various forms of alien appreciation created a symphony of sound and light that filled the concert hall with something Elena could only describe as universal joy. Elena rose from the piano bench and bowed deeply, her heart pounding with the rush of a perfect performance. But as she straightened, she realized that the evening's real purpose was just beginning. "Ladies and beings," Dr. Webb announced, "we now present a demonstration of collaborative human musical expression. Elena Vasquez and Sarah Collins will perform together, showcasing the art of four-hand piano performance." Elena retreated to the wings to collect Sarah, who was standing frozen with a mixture of anticipation and terror. "Your turn," Elena said softly. "Ready to show them what you can do?" Sarah nodded, though Elena could see her hands trembling slightly. "As ready as I'll ever be." They walked onto the stage together, and Elena immediately noticed how the audience's attention shifted. She could sense their curiosity about this unexpected performer, this woman who had been introduced as representing something different from conventional artistic achievement. Elena and Sarah sat side by side at the piano bench, their hands positioned over the keyboard in the traditional arrangement for four-hand performance. For a moment, they looked at each other, and Elena saw in Sarah's eyes the same deep connection to music that had driven her own life. "Together," Elena whispered. They began with Mozart's Sonata in D major, and from the first notes, Elena knew something magical was happening. Their playing meshed perfectly, as if they had been performing together for years instead of having met just 24 hours earlier. Sarah's touch was exquisite, her timing flawless, her musical instincts perfectly aligned with Elena's interpretation. But more than technical compatibility, Elena could feel the emotion flowing through Sarah's performance. This wasn't just skill that had been preserved, despite years of dormancy. This was music that had been enriched by life experience, deepened by loss and sacrifice, made more beautiful by the very struggles that had kept it hidden. As they transitioned into Brahms' Hungarian Dance No. 1, Elena became aware of something unprecedented happening in the audience. The various alien species, each with their own methods of expressing appreciation, were beginning to synchronize their responses. Crystalline harmonics blended with Zephyrian wing patterns. Bioluminescent pulses began to match the rhythm of the music. Even the Void Walker's space-time distortions seemed to be moving in harmony with the performance. Elena realized that they weren't just creating music. They were creating a moment of universal connection that transcended species, culture, and the vast distances between worlds. Two human women, separated by circumstance but united by music, were demonstrating something fundamental about the nature of creativity and the bonds that could exist between intelligent beings. When the final notes of the Brahms faded into silence, the response was unlike anything Elena had ever experienced. The concert hall erupted not just in applause, but in a celebration that seemed to involve every form of expression known to the assembled species. Lights flashed, harmonics soared, and the very air seemed to vibrate with approval and joy. Elena and Sarah stood and bowed together, their hands clasped, their faces radiant with the joy of shared accomplishment. The ovation continued for several minutes, with beings from across the galaxy expressing their appreciation in ways that created a symphony of approval. When the applause finally began to fade, Dr. Webb returned to the stage. "Before we conclude this historic evening, the diplomatic representatives have requested an opportunity to address our performers directly." Ambassador Resonance approached the stage, its crystalline form pulsing with excited energy. "Performers Vasquez and Collins," it announced, its voice carrying clearly through the translation system. "The Crystalline Collective has witnessed something tonight that challenges our fundamental understanding of artistic potential. Performer Collins, your demonstration that musical ability can remain dormant yet intact across decades of alternative occupation suggests capabilities in human neural architecture that we had not previously recognized. Ambassador Skyweaver's wing appendages created graceful patterns as it added, "The Zephyrian delegation concurs. We came here to study human music, but we have learned something more profound about human adaptability and the persistence of creative spirit. This performance will be studied and celebrated in Zephyrian cultural centers for generations to come." But it was the response from the Void Walkers that left everyone speechless. The shimmering distortions in the back of the hall suddenly coalesced into a form that was almost humanoid but seemed to exist in several dimensions simultaneously. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Humans," it said, and the single word carried harmonics that seemed to touch something deep in Elena's consciousness. "We have observed many species across many realities. Some excel in technology, others in philosophy, still others in warfare. But tonight we have witnessed something unique to your species, the ability to transform suffering into beauty, to find connection across social divisions, to create art that transcends individual achievement. The Void Walker paused, its form shifting through configurations that Elena's mind couldn't quite process. We came here as observers. We leave as admirers. The response to these words was immediate and overwhelming. The entire auditorium erupted in celebration again, but this time Elena could sense something different in the atmosphere. It wasn't just appreciation for a musical performance. It was recognition of something fundamental about human nature that had been revealed through music. Dr. Webb stepped forward with tears in his eyes. On behalf of humanity, I thank all our galactic neighbors for this extraordinary evening. The connections forged here tonight will, I believe, mark the beginning of a new era in interspecies cooperation and understanding. As the formal ceremony concluded, and the various alien delegations began to depart, Elena and Sarah found themselves surrounded by humans and aliens alike who wanted to express their appreciation personally. Scientists wanted to study the neurological basis of Sarah's preserved musical abilities. Cultural attachés wanted to document the social implications of the evening's success. Media representatives wanted to understand how a chance encounter between two musicians had evolved into a galactic cultural event. But through it all, Elena found herself most moved by the conversation she overheard between Sarah and a young human girl who had somehow made it backstage with her parents. "Ms. Collins," the girl asked, "does this mean that anybody can be a musician?" Sarah knelt down to the girl's level, her elegant gown pooling around her. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "music lives inside all of us. Sometimes it takes a while to find it, and sometimes we have to be patient for the right moment to let it out. But if you love music, if it makes you feel something special inside, then you are already a musician." The girl's face lit up with wonder, and Elena felt tears prick at her eyes. This was why tonight mattered, not just because they had impressed alien dignitaries or advanced human-alien relations, though they had done both. It mattered because they had demonstrated that human potential could emerge from anywhere, that dignity and talent weren't limited by circumstance, and that sometimes the most important performances happened when we had the courage to be seen as we truly were. Later that evening, after the crowds had dispersed and the alien delegations had returned to their ships, Elena and Sarah found themselves alone in the empty concert hall. They sat side by side at the piano bench where their collaboration had created something unprecedented. "So what happens now?" Sarah asked, running her fingers gently over the keys. "Now," Elena said with a smile, "the real work begins. I have a feeling that performance offers are going to start coming in. The galaxy has discovered Sarah Collins, and I don't think they're going to let you disappear again." Sarah laughed, but Elena could hear the wonder in her voice. "Yesterday I was invisible. Today I'm a galactic sensation. It's a lot to process." "Take your time," Elena said. "But Sarah, promise me something. Whatever happens next, don't let anyone convince you that tonight was a fluke. You didn't just get lucky. You earned every note of that performance through 30 years of carrying music in your heart." Sarah nodded, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Thank you, Elena, for seeing me, for believing in me, for giving me the chance to remember who I used to be and discover who I might still become." As they sat together in the quiet concert hall, Elena reflected on how quickly life could change. 24 hours ago, she had been a solitary performer preparing for the most important concert of her career. Tonight, she had discovered that the most important performance wasn't about demonstrating individual excellence, but about showing the universe that human greatness could emerge from the most unexpected places. The alien ships were departing from Earth's orbital stations, carrying with them recordings and memories of the night when a renowned pianist and a cleaning lady had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. But Elena knew that the real impact of their performance would be felt not just among the stars, but in the hearts of every person who had been inspired to believe that their own hidden talents, their own deferred dreams, their own quiet greatness might still have a chance to shine. Music, Elena had always believed, was the universal language. Tonight, she and Sarah had proven that human music wasn't just about sound or technique or formal training. It was about connection, resilience, hope, and the courage to be vulnerable in front of others. It was about the recognition that every person carried within them the potential for something beautiful, if only they had the chance to let it emerge. As Earth's primary star set behind the concert hall and the first ships began their journeys back to distant worlds, Elena and Sarah played together one more time, quietly, privately, just for themselves and for the joy of making music together. The universe had seen what humans could do when they combined talent with opportunity, skill with courage, individual excellence with collaborative generosity. Tomorrow, the galaxy would be a little different because of what had happened in this concert hall. But for Elena and Sarah, the real victory was simpler and more profound. They had found each other, and in doing so, they had remembered that the most important audience for any performance was the part of themselves that still believed in the transformative power of music. The final notes of their private encore faded into the darkness, but the connection they had forged would echo across the stars for generations to come.